Independence has never been easy. Nearly 250 years ago, it was something worth fighting for. The idea of a people who stood on equal footing, free to speak, free to wander, free to live. These were ideals worth risking everything for. Today, we find ourselves fighting old battles, not with past foes, but with ourselves. We are a nation divided. Divided by skin, divided by opinion, divided by hate. It seems the very freedoms we once fought for have become stumbling blocks. Are we too busy seeking ourselves to even recognize the tragedy which surrounds us? Do we no longer see the profound need for the hand of God? In this moment, the truth of Scripture rings especially true. If we, the people, will humbly pray, turn from wickedness, and seek His face, then He will hear us, He will forgive us, and He will heal this land. Today, may we remember this one simple truth. True independence is found only in our dependence on God.
Hey guys, it's Pastor Matt. Welcome to 4th of July service. I just want to open up with a word of prayer. God, we are so thankful that we live in a country where we have the freedom to assemble, to have parades, to celebrate the freedom that came from leaving the tyranny of a British government that gave us taxation without representation, Lord. And we're just so grateful for all the freedoms that we have in this country and everything that's going on, God. And we just want to lift you up today as we worship you. We just lift this service up in your precious, wonderful name. Amen. Hey, real quick, we are going to hear from Raven about what she did at Serve. Serve is a large camp-like setting where multiple people from different denominations get together and basically help the community. So they do like painting, they do repairs and different things like that. And I just wanted to interview Raven about what that experience was like, and one of her friends, Aiden, just to see, you know, how she felt about it, being a teenager, but just sort of seeing what they have been doing on social media, etc. So if you guys would check this out, that would be awesome. Serve Week.
Serve Week is when we go into Union Chapel, different people from different churches and youth groups, and we all get together in different teams, and we go out and help the community and have worship services every night with sermons. One of my favorite memories was on the first or second night, we had our first preaching, and he had us all sit in quiet afterwards and kind of pray. And he had all the leaders up front. And so if you needed prayer from someone, you could go up to the front and pray with them, or if you wanted to pray for someone specifically, like in your group or in the people around you, you would go on and you would like give them prayer, and at the end of it there was an ending song. And so all these people would just be so full of the Holy Spirit, and you could see it in each and every song that they went through. The things that people worked on were like painting houses, we did soup kitchens, we helped out with cleaning in the church, and we helped with setting up these block parties and then party in the parking lot on Friday.
Well, I saw on Raven's Snapchat and then Jennifer's, and they went to a lady's house named Gloria, and they helped her like rebuild her house and paint and everything, and she was just very blessed and thankful for that. I thought that was neat.
Yeah. Why do you think that's like impactful on the community?
It's just changing her life, and it'll teach her to take care of her house, and she knows that she has people to count on and everything.
Awesome. So when Northside does the gives away shoes and backpacks to elementary and high school kids on August 7th. What are you guys gonna try to help out at that event?
Yeah.
And why do you think it's important to volunteer at events like that that actually help the community and city at large?
Because they know they have people by their side.
Look around you. There's so much work to do. This world is in no condition for us to simply sit back and watch. There is a tangible, desperate need for Jesus. A glimpse of hope in the midst of hopelessness. Jesus experienced this. He saw it firsthand. The need broke his heart and filled him with compassion. He turned to his disciples and said, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few." This alone should stir our hearts. It's a calling to make a difference, to share the truth of the gospel, to be a light in the darkness, to be the church. It's time for us to look beyond ourselves, to turn our focus to the field, to answer the call and passionately share the love of Jesus. This is our mandate. This is our mission. Are you ready to do the work?
With you. Thank you, Raven, for talking about serve. I think it's important as a community that we get together with local people and help the community. That's part of the loving your neighbor as yourself. So I'm really proud of her for doing that. Hope you guys are having a good 4th of July weekend, coming at you from Harbor Springs, Michigan, and it's so good to be with you today. Just want to say thank you for everyone tuning in and taking of your morning, no matter what time you view this. Hey guys, so excited to finish up our Summer Stories series with Joseph here. We're not finishing up the series, but we're finishing up the story of Joseph. And so we're starting in chapter 47, verse 1. And this is a really interesting point because remember, prior to this, Joseph had restored his relationship with his brothers and sent word to his father, and he told them, come and settle with us. Now Pharaoh gave him permission to do so, and they are moving across, coming in. They settle in the land of Goshen, which is important as we see future on in the Old Testament, right? Really good land, choice land, a place where they can have flocks and herds. Now, verse 47 verse 1, Joseph goes back to Pharaoh and reports to him, hey, my father and brothers with their flocks and herds and everything they own have come from the land of Canaan and are now in Goshen. And so I want you to just imagine that. Joseph brings his entire family. This is the 12 tribes of Israel. So you can imagine everyone's around the age of 40 and under. So it's been about 15, 18 years since everything went down. Joseph is the most powerful person in Egypt besides Pharaoh, but we're going to see that sort of vindicated here as we go. And so we continue the story on, and a lot happens. Joseph goes and sees his dad, and his dad lives with him 10 plus years alive. I think it was like 17 years that they were able to be together, 13 years. I think it was 13 years that they're able to be together. And so he gets to that restored relationship with his father, Jacob. And so everything's good. Well, guess what? Jacob dies in Egypt. And one of the big things is in that situation, he needed to be buried in his homeland, where Abraham, the land of his fathers, as they say in the Old Testament. And so they wanted to go there and do all these things. So one of the big things that I've always wondered is how powerful was Joseph? How important was Joseph? And Joseph was extremely important. It says he's second in command, but I don't think you really realize how much power Joseph has. And there's this little secret part in the Old Testament, this little secret statement that sort of explains how big of a deal he was. And it's right here in verse 7. So we see this in verse 7, and it says this, so Joseph went up to bury his father, catch this, all Pharaoh's officials accompanied him, the dignitaries of his court, and all the dignitaries of Egypt. Besides all the members of Joseph's household and his brothers and those belonging to his father's household, only their children and their flocks and their herds were left in Goshen. Chariots and horsemen also went up with him. It was a very large company. So I want you to think about that. When they went back to bury the bones, it was so many people. It was insane how big of a group it was. And it didn't say, some people stayed behind. It said all the people in Egypt went with Joseph to this burial, to this funeral, this procession. And I'm talking days, weeks. This is a big deal. So can you imagine this train of people? One of the big things about being up here in Harbor Springs is one of the things they're famous for in Michigan is they have a 4th of July parade. And I don't know if you've ever been to a parade or anything like that, but it is just nonstop people. And they walk a pretty long distance in line, no traffic, everyone's safe, but you see a little bit of every age. It's crazy. You sit alongside, they throw candy, they give away stuff, and you're sort of excited to be there. It can be hot, it can be cold, but the parade usually goes on. And one of the interesting things is, when I was in high school, I had the ability to be a part of such a marching processional. We got to march in a couple parades here and there, and I remember it just like yesterday, because being in the parade and not watching the parade, being in the parade is awful. You're like walking for miles, you're usually hot, people are like, hey, give me candy, little kids are running out in front of you, you're trying not to step on them. It's not very much fun. So when we see this processional, when we see this movement of people that are going to honor Jacob, aka Israel, it's a very powerful statement that God is making. He's taking the most powerful nation in the world and sending everybody but Pharaoh to go honor Israel. And I want you to catch that, because it just shows how powerful God is. And remember how this all happened. God took a very bad situation and turned it for the good of those who love him. God took a bad situation and moved it for the good of the people that loved him. AKA Joseph was thrown in prison. Joseph was accused of trying to rape his master's wife. Joseph was accused of a lot of things, but God restored him, made him second in command of Egypt, and then the entire country, the most important people in the world, went and honored Jacob to a burial as a parade all the way back to the homeland. That's the power of God. So I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what's going on in your situation. I don't know what's going on in your family or anything. But I do want to say this. When God wants to take something and make it good, to take a bad situation and make it good, nobody on earth is going to be able to stop him. He's going to take an entire powerful nation and bring everybody to the burial of a no-name guy from Israel. He's going to move a guy out of jail and put him second in command of the nation. He's going to help a young man save an entire people group, an entire country, and the nation of Israel, as we see in the 12 tribes. God is that powerful. Do not deny his ability. Do not ever question him. Now, look, in the moment, in the hardship, it's easy to get caught up and be like, I don't know what God is doing. And I am with you. Sometimes God's plans are so much greater than our own, and they stink, and we just can't wrap our mind around them as to why he would allow certain things to happen. But I'm going to tell you this. In Romans 8:28, it says that God is going to work for the good, everything that of those who love him. And if you love God, he will take bad situations and make them good. He might not make them good until eternity. He might not make them good until you get to heaven, but it's in those moments when we get to see our loved ones, our family, our friends, that we are going to see God make it good, that he's going to honor his word, that he's going to do what he said he was going to do. So let's get back into this story here. Now check this out. They go through the whole funeral. They go through the whole procession. They get all the way back to the country. And you can imagine, along that journey, Joseph's brothers were talking. Oh no, our father's dead. He's going to surely take revenge on us for how we threw him into a pit, told our father he was dead, and sold him to some slavers. He's going to take revenge. And so here's what happened. We pick up in verse 18. His brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. We are your slaves. So they had this all planned out on this really long journey. They're like, how can we not get killed? Because this is the most powerful man in Egypt other than Pharaoh. We are your slaves, they said. But Joseph said to them, don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? Question mark. I love that response. And I want you to think about that. How many of you have brothers or sisters? Yeah, I do too. If my sisters or my brothers came to me and threw themselves on the ground and said, I am your slave, oh boy, you better believe I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to be like, okay, you want to be my slave? Hey, my car is dirty. It needs to be washed. My bedroom is nasty. It needs to be clean. In fact, there are some things under my bed that are living on their own, and I do not want to go there. I'm scary. Can you please clean that up? Can you please take my dish that I just found behind my dresser from 6 weeks ago and put it in the sink because it's growing 3 different fungi, and I'm afraid there's like a mushroom back there. Please, slave, take care of this. And oh, by the way, can you scoop up the dog poop that I'm supposed to do and take that job off my hands? And oh, by the way, can you imagine what it would be like to have somebody that wronged you come to you and say, hey, what can I do? I want to be your slave. Man, I would take advantage of it. I don't know what Joseph's thinking. I'd be like, heck yeah, I've got some free slave labor. This is going to be amazing. I'm going to do nothing. Most powerful man in Egypt could do with them whatever he wanted, could get his revenge, but instead he decides to walk in the way of God. And I love his response. It says, again, don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? Church, I think we need to ask ourselves that. Am I in the place of God? Because it's in the moments that we put ourselves in the place of God that we don't have forgiveness, that we have bitterness, that we have anger, that we take advantage of people that we have power over. When we think we're God's, we lose sense of direction. And so we check this out as it rolls on. He says this amazing statement, verse 20, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. 21, so then don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children. And he reassured them and spoke kindly to them. It's an amazing thing to check out the witness of who God is. It's an amazing thing to see Joseph continually forgive his brothers for how they wronged him. Church, no matter what's going through your minds, no matter what's going on in your heart, no matter what's going on in your soul, I want you to know God is bigger than your situation. God is bigger than anything you got going on. God is bigger than whatever you may be facing. And I know that many of you have had hard things happen in the past 3 years. You've lost people. You've lost people you cared about. You've gotten sick. Other people have gotten sick. People are sick right now. But I want to tell you this, God is bigger than anything that we face on this earth. And through the power of God, through His abilities, through His greatness, through His love, God will work everything for the good of those who love Him. So my question to you is this, are you in the state of loving God? Are you responding in love to Him? Are you in the Word? Are you praying to Him? Are you worshiping Him? Or are you worshiping yourself? We see Joseph say that statement, am I in the place of God? So I ask you, church, are you in the place of God right now in your lives? Or is God higher than you? Are His ways higher than your ways? Are His thoughts higher than your thoughts? Because sometimes when we get mad, essentially what we're saying to God is, God, I know better. I know what ought to be done. And yes, God doesn't want anyone to perish. He wants to rescue everyone. But sometimes it's unavoidable. And I go back again to say this, look, God's plans, His ways are better and higher than ours. And we got to trust and have faith in His journey and His process. I love, as we're talking about this, as we talk about the hardships of God, as we talk about these situations that we face, no matter what's going on in our life, no matter if we think God has done an injustice to us, it's going to be restored in eternity. And I love this. I take solace in this. No matter what evil, no matter what befalls us, in John's revelation, Jesus paints a compelling and joyful picture and of the future, of where we're going to spend eternity. And I just love this. I talk about this often in funerals, and I take solace and rest in these words. So listen closely. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be His people. And God Himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eye, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain, for the former things have passed away. And He who has seated on the throne said, behold, I am making all things new. Also He said, write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true. Can you imagine a reality where there's no more pain, no more sorrow, where God will wipe away every tear from our eye? That's eternity. And when God says, what I'm going to do for you is make things good, He's going to honor it. And whether or not it happens in this life, He's going to get us in eternity. He's going to give us the check that He wrote in stating those words. He's going to create a space and a place for us to find rest, to find the love, to find joy, hope, peace, patience, goodness, kindness in a perfect reality. No more pain, no more sorrows, no more trials, no more tears, no more death. I mean, can you imagine a place? And that's where we're going to be reunited with our family, our friends, our Christian brothers and sisters. And it's with this hope that we push on. And that's why Joseph talked to his brothers in that way. He said, hey, am I in the place of God? It's all good. God did this because He wanted to save a lot of people. And I got to tell you, church, God's doing things in your life right now because He wants to not only save you, but He wants you to help Him save a ton of people. But the question is this, are you willing to be like Joseph and keep on pointing everyone to the way of God, to who He is, to His love, to His goodness, to His mercies, to His kindness? Or are you so caught up in the world pretending to be the place of God and having things move out of your control that you cannot see straight? Church, come on, be like Joseph. Ask that question, am I in the place of God? No, you are not. No, I am not. And we, as a united people, need to walk forward in unity, embracing the path and the will of the Father, willing to say, hey, no matter where we are, we're going to love God with everything we have. We're going to be followers. We're going to go back to the homeland and bury our dead, and God's going to bring with us the most powerful people from a nation, because that is how powerful He is. That is who He is. And God's going to save us through evil intentions by the brothers. He's going to save us no matter what the outcome or the beginning is, He's going to save us, because that is what He promises. And God does not break His promises. So today we just encourage you, church, love God, love your neighbors, and point back to God in every situation. Hope you guys have a great 4th of July holiday. Remember, Promise Keepers event is at Union Chapel in the upcoming weeks. And also August 7th, we're giving away shoes and backpacks to youth. If you want to go to any of those, just let me know. I'll have a link down below. And stay tuned for some announcement slides right after this. God bless you guys, and happy 4th of July.